So now that we know why we might want to use React instead of just JavaScript, and before we start diving deeply into React and we'll learn it from the ground up, I already want to make sure that we get our hands dirty and that we actually start working on our first React app, even though we don't really know a lot about React yet. But from what we've seen thus far, we might be able to solve the following tasks. And it all starts with a new, updated demo app. And for that, attached to this lecture, you find another link leading to another React web app on Code Sandbox. And of course, it's pretty much the same app as before, but I actually updated this content array here, and I added a new fourth nested array in that content array, and that fourth array inside of this content array will become important for this exercise, which is why you should follow that link you find attached to this lecture. Because in this updated app, the goal now is to add a fourth button with any text of your choice, doesn't really matter. But when this fourth button is clicked, the content for this button, so this fourth entry in this content array, should be loaded and displayed on the screen. Now implementing this, of course, will be challenging because you don't really know React yet, despite the last lecture, but definitely feel free to pause the video at this point and try solving these tasks on your own, before then after a short pause, we'll solve it together. If you can't solve it, by the way, no worries, we're just getting started and you haven't learned React yet, so that's absolutely fine. But still, you might want to give it a try. So, did you succeed? Let's try it together. For this, of course, it's important that you're using this updated version, which you find attached, where you do have this extra entry in this array. And then with that, we can go down to the buttons and add another button here to this menu. And for that, I'll just copy one of the existing buttons and paste it in here, maybe at the end of the menu, but the exact position doesn't matter. And I'll give it a text of React versus JS, though that text, of course, is up to you. Now we get this button here. If I now click this button, I actually get a strange behavior though, because now the third and the fourth buttons seem to be active simultaneously, and I do load the content of this third button. Now we do get this behavior here, because of course I copied this third button and I kept all the logic that was on this button. But now we need to adjust this logic on this new fourth button. For example, here, for this click listener in this function that's executed when that click occurs, we should set the active content index to 3 to select the fourth item in this content array. Because as you know, in JavaScript, arrays start with the index 0, so that in the end will make sure that we, for example, down here, will use the fourth item in this array by using the index 3. Here in this condition, we also should compare the active content index to 3, therefore, to make sure that this button here only receives the active class if the content index is 3. And that actually is all then. If you save that, maybe reload here, though it shouldn't be required, you should be able to now select this button and see the content for this button and have only that button being active. So now all the buttons work as intended, this fourth button included, and therefore we got our hands dirty, we wrote our first lines of React code, and we solved these tasks here. And of course, as mentioned before, if you were not able to do this on your own, that is absolutely fine and absolutely to be expected, because you haven't even learned React yet. I haven't taught you React yet. I just showed you one basic first example, and we're going to learn React from the ground up in this course, of course. So no worries if you were not able to do this on your own yet.